perseverance, it is only by reflection that we do. They were just appreciation of the value of perseverance when we see how much can be accomplished in any given direction by the man or woman of but eligibility who resolutely perseverance in the course of action adopted as a ruling purpose of their lives. We then are elevated just estimate of value of perseverance as a factor in success. The old fable of the hare and the tortoise only exemplifies yet truth, which we are all ready to admit when we once top track my losses to put the swirls of nature and art which proclaim in no uncertain tones the play off of Percival all the performances of human art at which we look with praise or wonder are instances of the resistless. Also but severe it is by this that the query becomes a pyramid. It is by this the Collegium of Rome was built in this. It was that enclosed in Adam and the Chinese Empire one man's individual exception seems to go for nothing. If a person were to compare the result of one man's work with the general design and last result, he will be overwhelmed by the sense of this is proper. Yet these petty operations, the incessantly continued in time, surmount the greatest difficulties. Mountains are eliminated and oceans bounded by the slender communities. How many men who have won well my imperishable renown in the world of literature, science, our art, for all the greatness to persevering efforts. How many of those who the world called geniuses can exclaim with Newton that they were all the greatness to persevering efforts, and whatever they may have been able to accomplish more than ordinary has been solely by virtue of perseverance. They were the sons of unremitting industry, and boy they were once as we can helpless as any of us, once as destitute of wisdom and power as an infant, once the very alphabet of the language which they have wielded with such magic effect was unknown to them. They toiled long to learn it, to get its pounds, understand its deeper fancies, and longer still to obtain the secret of its highest charm and mightiest power, and yet even longer for those living glorious hearts which they paid at bill to reenact, polished and at my report, these characters which are now given to the world and will be to millions yet unborn as patterns of greatness and goodness were made by the untied in perseverance which marked their whole life. From childhood they knew no such word as faith. Defeat only gave them power. Difficulty only bought them the necessity of redoubled exceptions. Dangers gave them courage in the sight of grade levels inspired in them. Corresponding exertions they success has been brought out by persevering industry. It has been said by shrewd observers that successful men know more to their perseverance down to the natural powers, their friends, or the favorable circumstances around them. Genius will falter by the side of labor. Great troubles will view place to great industry. Talents undesirable, but perseverance is more so. If you make mental powers, or at least strengthen those already made, this should teach a great lesson of patience to those who are so nearly ready to sink in despair and have grown weary indeed, striving for better things. For one who fails not but resolutely takes up the work of life and perseveringly continues his exertion, it is possible for him to reach almost any height to which his ambition may point. Some of the great works of literature in which was told away great masses of information are the results of persevering efforts, before which many minds Tapit Van consumed 19 years in writing his masterpiece. How many would have had the courage to persevere that length of time, though certain of success? At last, courage, when combined with energy and perseverance, will overcome difficulties. Apple and clean surmount perseverance, working in the right Direction and when steadily practiced, even by the most humble, will rarely fail. Operates the wall that inspires and lights. Of all favor-minded people, a friendly feeling who will not be friendly. Persevering, energetic youth, the fearless man of industry who is not a friend to him who is a friend to himself. He who persevere in business, feminist hardships and discouragement will always find ready and generous friends in time of need. He will persevere in the course of wisdom, rectitude and benevolence is shoot to gather round friends. Go to the men of business of all of influence and ask them who shall have their confidence and support. They'll tell you. The men who falters not by the wayside, who toil on in their calling, even a stable value, whose eyes are upward and whose motorists get cells here. These are the men to whom they use a contract, but they shall be lazy. The England the fearful, and partly they would have soon trust between us. Such man, if you will be friends, be steady and true to yourself. Be the unfailing friend of your own purpose. Stand by your own cap and others will come to you again. Almost every portion of the earth teems with words which show what man has been able to effect in the physical world by means of Bathshebas. Calculate if you can. The apple is required to build the pyramids of Egypt. Can you conceive of a more enduring monument to the triumph of perseverance than that? Look at nature. She has 1,000 voices teaching lessons of passively. The lofty mountains are wearing down by slow degrees. The ocean is gradually but surely filling up by deposits from each 1,000 rivers and by the labors of a little insect so small as to be almost invisible to the naked eye. He will shower that sweet sow on the surface of the country, tends to bring the hills and mountains to the level of the plain. Nature has brought one lesson on this subject, and that his persevere more depends upon active perseverance than upon genius, says a common sense author. Upon this subject, genius unexaggerated is no more genius than a bushel of pecans. He is a forest of oaks. There may be epics in men's brains just as there are option accounts, but the tree in the book must come out before we can measure them. Firmness of purpose is one of the most necessary sinews and one of the best instruments of success. Without it, genius misses efforts. In an age of inconsistencies, it gives power to weakness and opens to poverty the world. Smart, it spreads fertility over the barren landscape in which the choicest fruits and levels it spring up and flourish. In the desert they poured theories, perhaps nothing more conducive to success in any important and difficult undertaking than a firm, steady, unremitting spirit in seasons of distress and difficulty. To abandon ourselves through dejection gives evidence of a big fight. Opposing circumstances often create strength, both mental and physical. Opposition gives us greater power of resistance to overcome one barrier, gives us greater ability to overcome the next. It is powerless to grumble about circumstances. Instead of sinking in the trouble it becomes us in the evil day. With perseverance to maintain our part, to bear up against this table, to have records to those advantages which in the worst of times are always left to integrity and virtue, and never to give up the hope that better days may come. It is wonderful to see what miracles the resolute and unyielding will can achieve. Before its irresistible energy, the most formidable obstacles become as cobweb barriers in the path. Difficulties, the terrors of which cause the resolute to sink back with dismay, provoke from the man of lofty determination only a smile. The whole history of our race, all nature indeed, teems with examples to show what wonders may be accomplished by resolute perseverance and patient toil. How many there are who thinking of the immense amount of work lying between them and the object of their disease are almost ready to give up in despair. But do they not when they view the world? Doesn't mass forget that there is time enough if only rightly improved to suffice for each effort one step after another perseveringly continued will enable you to arrive at your journeys. And however long it mean, it is only when you come to reckon up the aggregate number of steps that you are ready to sink under a feeling of despair, but you are not required to take them all at once. There is an allotted time for each individual step as imbuing any work that you may have marked out in life. Only remember that you are not obliged to do the work all at once, that the regular daily portions performed quietly and systematically day after day will enable you to achieve almost any desired result. When we reflect on the wonderful results that perseverance has accomplished, we are led to believe that the man who built resolves and perseverance can do almost anything. Everyone, and regardless of his condition in life, should set his aim high and resolve to him at no labor necessary for its realization, but cheerfully take up the trails and burdens that life has in store for him, and carry them forward, be the discouragements what they may, to a glorious consummation. Only learn to carry a thing true in all of its details, and you have measured the secret of success. Only learn to persevere in carrying out any plan of work which an enlightened judgment decides is the best, and you will force life to heal you its grandest frames. There is almost no limit to what you can achieve if you does govern your actions and make all your existence contribute to the fulfilling of some great purpose of life which you took up with a brave heart and with the determination to persevere therein, and ill success hounds to our effort.